How do we know if people are doing well? Not rich, not productive, just well. Safe, connected, free, able to be themselves and to care for others. The usual way we answer that is by counting what fits in a ledger, like income, jobs, output, growth. These numbers matter. They're just not the whole picture.
Most measures were built to track money moving through an economy. They tell us how much was produced and sold. They don't tell us if people really belong. They don't tell us if the water is clean. They don't tell us whether the future is being protected or spent.
The most common measure is GDP. GDP counts the total value of what is bought and sold: goods, services, production, growth. It tells us how fast the economy is moving, but not whether life is actually good.
New Zealand tried something different by building a national budget guided by well-being goals like health, environment, and community. It shifted the focus closer to people, not just production. But even that is not complete.
If we only count what can be sold, we ignore the value of care and culture. We ignore the time it takes to raise children and to look after elders. We ignore the knowledge that is passed from one generation to the next. We ignore the relationships that actually keep a community alive.
Economic well-being should include the conditions that let life feel whole. A home that is safe, food that is good, time that isn't always rushed, paths to learn, paths to work, paths to rest, the ability to plan a future without leaving yourself behind.
For Indigenous peoples here, economic well-being is inseparable from land and community. It is relational, people and place, rights and responsibilities, work and language, the ability to decide together what matters and how to live it, the ability to make a living without giving up who you are.
There are traditional ways of measuring prosperity that do not start with money. They start with balance. They ask if the land can continue to provide. They ask if people are cared for across generations. They ask if culture is strong and if young people can see themselves in the future. They ask if decisions are made close to home and in a good way.
A full picture of economic well-being includes freedom and capability. The freedom to speak your language in public, the freedom to travel for opportunity and to come home by choice. The capability to learn and to apply your skills. The capability to earn and to save and to build something that lasts. The capability to share in ownership and decision-making rather than watch from the outside.
It includes safety. Safety from discrimination when you apply for a lease, safety when you walk into a bank, safety when you start a business and when you enter a classroom, safety to make a mistake and try again without feeling judged by stereotypes.
It includes time. Time to care for a new baby, time to visit a grandparent, time to learn a craft, time to hunt or fish or harvest, time to be on the land in a way that your people have always been. Time that is not counted as unproductive because it cannot be taxed.
It includes recognition. Recognition that Indigenous governments is not an obstacle to businesses, but a way to build trust and predictability. Recognition that consent is not a box to check, but a relationship. Recognition that revenue is not only a benefit, that long-term stewardship is a return in itself.
It includes healing. Residential schools tore families apart and tried to sever language and memory. That harm moved through generations. Healing is not side work. It is economic work because it restores the human foundations of learning, trust, and cooperation. Without those, no plan holds.
It includes fairness. Roads, clean water, internet that works, buildings that don't make you sick, public services funded at levels that match need. These are not extras, they are the baseline that lets entrepreneurs and students and workers do what they're capable of.
It includes pride, seeing your identity in workplaces and institutions, seeing your art and language in public, being able to introduce yourself in your own way without shrinking your voice to fit what someone else expects.
It includes ownership, not only a paycheck, but a stake. Community corporations that reinvest, partnerships that share control, equity that builds intergenerational security, the chance to start a business without hitting barriers that others never face.
It includes learning and youth, access to programs that fit local realities, pathways into trades, health, law, and business that do not require leaving forever, mentors who look like you, internships that are real work and real pay.
It includes ceremony and season. The calendar of an economy is not just quarter ends. It's salmon runs, it's harvest, it's winter teaching. When work respects the rhythm of a place, it stops treating people as the replaceable parts and starts treating them as relatives.
It includes good governance, decisions that are transparent, roles that are clear, budgets that are accountable, laws that recognize Indigenous jurisdiction, agreements that are honored even when leadership changes.
It includes language and story. A people who can speak their language in daily life will measure success differently. Words hold worldviews. Worldviews shape choices. Choices shape outcomes. This is not symbolic, it is practical. It changes what gets built and why.
It includes reciprocity. If the land gives, you give back. If the market benefits, the community benefits. If a project takes place, it must also make space. Profit without reciprocity is extraction, and extraction always ends the same way. The resource leaves and the harm stays.
It includes joy, not as a luxury, but as a sign that life is not only survivable, but good. Music, sport, laughter at a table, a day at the lake when no one is watching the clock.
When we widen the frame this way, we can still count money and jobs. We refuse to stop there. We also count opportunities created by self-determination. We count trust in public institutions. We count cultural continuity. We count the stability that comes from being at home in your own life.
Now we return to the beginning question. How do we know if people are doing well? We ask them, we listen, we look at the land, we notice whether young people plan their future here by choice. We notice whether elders are surrounded. We notice whether decisions are made with the people most affected in the room. We notice whether anyone has to leave their identity at the door to be included.
Yeah. I grew up here in the Okanagan, and for a long time, I never really thought about what that really meant. I just knew the landscape, the lake, the hills, the colors in the summer. I went to school here, I work here, my life is rooted in this place, but I didn't grow up understanding whose land this actually is, or the history that shaped how I got here. My perspective comes from being someone who benefits from systems I didn't create and didn't always recognize. I'm learning that my ideas about success and progress were shaped by those systems too. I used to think economic well-being was mostly about individual opportunity, income, growth, building something or moving forward. And I still value those things, but now I see well-being is about relationship. Relationship to the land, to the community, to memory, and even to responsibility.
I grew up in Kelowna, surrounded by the lake, the mountains, and the orchards. For most of my life, I saw this place as simply home. Familiar streets, summer heat, winter snow, and the comfort of knowing where everything was. I didn't think much about what it meant to grow up here or whose land this really is. It's only more recently that I've started to understand the deeper history of this place and how I fit into it. As a student, I'm learning to see how my perspective is shaped by systems and stories I didn't create but have benefited from. I used to think that education and success were mostly about hard work, ambition, and personal achievement. I still value those things, but I'm also realizing that learning is about relationship, to place, to people, and to responsibility. Now when I look at the landscape, the lake, the hills, and the city growing outward, I think about the connection and accountability. What does it mean to live, learn, and build a future here on this land? I don't have all the answers, but I know that understanding where I am is part of understanding who I am.
Ask simple checks. Can I use my skills here? Can I make a living here? Can I choose my path here? Can I return here and still be myself? Can my children grow here without being harmed for who they are? If the answers are yes, then an economy is working for people. If not, the work is not finished.
Let's bring it together now. Economic well-being is a practice. It's a series of choices that make life feel more livable for more people over more time. Count income and jobs, count ownership and trading, count clean water and good housing, count languages spoken and ceremonies held, count how many young people can picture a future here without giving up who they are. Count trust, count time, count pride, count the ability to shape your own path and to do it in a relationship with others.
In the end, there's no single index that captures all of this. There's only the daily work of aligning what we build with what we value. If we value relationship, we will measure relationship. If we value culture, we will also measure culture. If we value the future, we will measure the future. The numbers will follow the values we choose.
A well-being economy is built by design. It does not happen by accident. It grows wherever there is self-determination and consent. It grows where partners share decisions and benefits. It grows where the land is treated as a relative rather than a resource. It grows where repair is taken seriously and where success is measured by whether people and places can flourish together.
The economy is not something outside us. It is us. It is the way we trade time and care and skill. It is the way we decide what matters and then fund it. It is the way we share risk and share reward.
When we live that with respect and reciprocity, we don't just grow, we grow up. Thank you for watching. May what we build reflect who we are and who we are becoming. May it last longer than we do because we chose to make it so.